Hello, my dear students. First of all, a big congratulations for clearing your CA foundation. Now, you're just 2 steps away from your dream of becoming a CA. CA Inter and CA Final. So obviously one step is gone less and you're feeling great about it. You're getting 1 step closer to your dream. But you know what? CA Foundation, CA Inter, there are really 2 different things. When we talked about foundation, whatever marks you got, absolutely fine with that. But now in CA Inter, it's going to demand more hard work, more patience, more perseverance, more discipline, more sacrifices, and obviously a lot of studies. So with this thing in mind, that we are going to work hard towards it, we have to start our journey. Today on day 1 of our journey, we are going to make a promise to ourselves that we are going to put in our best in these next few months that are there. See, in foundation, your number of hours, your number of subjects was all very less compared to CA Inter. Now, CA Inter is you're having 6 subjects in the new syllabus. 6 subjects are going to take a lot of time. Plus, last 3 months you have to keep for your self-study. Just before your exams, 3 months are complete self-study. So, need to plan in such a way that in these 5.5 months which are there, you need to complete your 6 subjects, which is very well possible, but it is going to take a lot of efforts, hard work, and a lot of hours that you have to put in. So you would be having at least about 8 to 10 hours of lectures. Apart from that, you will have to do at least 2 to 3 hours of your homework. So that's not going to be a very easy task, correct? But because we are so enthusiastic for doing it, we know we have to achieve this. So definitely we are going to work hard now. And you know what? The consistency is always very, very important. When we start with a lot of intensity, like we start with a lot of things in mind, yes. But then slowly, when we lose path or we lose the zeal or enthusiasm, then that consistency is where a student will get successful. So it is that day, every single day when you get up, push yourself. That is when you're getting closer and closer to your dream. So you have to understand that we are not going to get tired. We are not going to give up. We are always going to be motivated. And then you become unstoppable. Nobody can touch you there. Remember that. So day 1 only promise yourself you're going to give your best, as I already said. And at the same time, you're going to work very hard. Obviously, I'm there to guide you. Right? Your teachers are there to guide you. You have your parents, your family to support you. But end of the day, the journey is mainly yours. So you have to make it a point that whatever distractions are there, for a few months you have to forget all that. Including like everything. You have to make sacrifices. CA journey doesn't test you only on your knowledge. When you become a CA at the age of 21, imagine. It's 21. There are so many people who have not even become professionals as a study. But you have become a professional. That too with 2.5 years experience. Let's say articleship experience. So this is going to demand sacrifices, right? And you know, when you get in CA, you know very well, after hearing so many things from people that yes, CA is so difficult, the results are so low, and all these things, still we have come here. Because we know the kind of respect what we get after becoming a CA. We know the kind of happiness that we are going to have, our family is going to get after we become a CA. So keeping that in mind, you have to keep yourself motivated every single day. And that is your journey, that is your testing. So like I said, it's not just knowledge. It tests your patience, your perseverance, your discipline, dedication, everything. The sacrifices that you're going to be making all these time. By the age of 21, you're like right now 18, 19 years of age, you're so young. But still, you're going to put in so many hours of study that shows your dedication. So that's exactly what I want from you. Day 1, promise to yourself. And not going to give up in between. There are going to be times, dark times, problematic times when you feel, oh my God, so many things. How are we going to remember? How is this going to happen? How is that going to happen? It's absolutely normal. Being anxious, getting panicking, panic at times, it's absolutely fine. But in spite of all that, getting up and going on is what is important. So this is what you have to understand here. When we talk about foundation and we talk about Inter, the basic difference comes like how we have in cricket. It's a 20-20 match. which I consider CA foundation. Amazing. Okay. You enjoy the journey, everything is done. And in spite of, like, maybe not doing too much of studies, also you can still clear. And I'm saying that very bluntly because it can happen. But that will not happen in inter and final, because inter becomes a ODI, a 50 over match. From 20 overs, you come to 50 overs, right? From 4 subjects, you have come to 6 subjects. And when I say 6 subjects, there are subjects and subjects. Like you have got FM and SN, you have got DT and indirect tax. So automatically what happens is you are definitely getting into something bigger. The time that you had there to complete those 4 subjects and the time that you have to now complete your 6 subjects, compare and see. You'll understand what I'm saying. Correct? So MCQs, there you had got 2 full papers, 200 marks. Here, my dear, MCQs are 30 marks each paper, which is a very good thing. Earlier, we did not have all the papers. So the new syllabus, these are the good things which have happened. But at the same time, understanding that yes, like I said, working hard. Promise yourself, promise your family member, anybody today, and start your journey. Okay. So now, when I was telling you about this 50-50 match, 20-20, then 50 overs, that is ODI, and then my CA final becomes test match. There, though, you have to be even more patient. Strategy works over there. And inter, you need both. You need strategy, working hard, because it's like a sandwich between foundation and final. So maximum, people say foundation is a filter. Those who cannot clear, many of them leave in foundation. But what I have seen with practical experience, inter is a bigger filter. There are so many students who don't work hard, or they are having some problems, and then they get stuck in inter. They don't know where to go. So that's why inter, you have to be even more careful. Not trying to scare you anything. I'm just getting you prepared mentally for what is going to be happening. Lot of things to learn. So many subjects, all diverse. But still, we have to go for it. Like I said, we have come here by our choice, by our will. So becoming a CA, we know we have to go for it. Also, now you have to decide on a proper timetable how you're going to be doing your studies. So when we have this, you have to decide, like, so many hours are going to be for your classes, for completing all your subjects. Like 3-4 hours you have to give, at least 2 hours, minimum 2 to 3 hours for whatever is happening in that lecture that particular day, on that what you have covered. You need to revise it in time. So you need to have a proper schedule. About 12 hours you will be putting in. Remember that. So that you need to understand. Plus, as much as possible, try to simplify the things. When you are studying it for the first time, any particular thing, you should see that you do it in a proper manner. If you're not understanding, you try to see it again, understand it properly, write down, jot down all the important things, so that next time when you study that, you are very well prepared. You have already done all the work. So that is very important. Okay. Along with these 12 hours that you have to put in every day, you have to obviously balance it out. You have to also have a little bit of enjoyment. And enjoyment something which is going to refresh you. Not the mobile and screen time, which is going to, in fact, even make you more tired. So you have to properly chalk out this plan. And once you chalk it out, remember the last 3 months you have to keep for self-study. So that exact planning is very, very important. Okay? And focus. Focus on what is to be done. Fair enough. Whatever daily you're doing, the homework has to be done. Whatever daily you're studying, little bit of revision has to be done. The revisions little bit we'll also do, like what we learned today, the next day we revise it also. Okay. Whatever homework you're doing is also a kind of revision you're doing, practice of the same. So in practical subjects, main thing is practice. The more you practice, the more things you do, it helps a lot. So this you have to keep in mind. Okay. And practice means you have to solve, write and solve. Not going through the answers, just going through the books. No, that's not how it works. You have to sit and practice. Many people feel that, the last few days of study is actually what only gets you marks. No, it is the entire period that you are working every single day that is getting you marks. They feel that one day before we have done something, that's it, that gets us marks. No, it's not true. You have to do everything every day. That is what will make you successful. Okay, so keeping that in mind, let us now go ahead. So, well, now let me introduce you to paper number 4, Cost and Management Accounting. This paper is of 100 marks. This is a completely new subject for you in CA Intermediate. And this cost and management accounting, today we'll be starting with the basics of this chapter. Okay, of this subject rather. It's called only Introduction to CMA, the chapter number 1. But before we go to that, let us understand what is this subject about, and most importantly, what is the syllabus and weightage for the same. So understanding the points, now here cost and management accounting, like I said, is a completely new subject for CA intern. In CA final also you had got advanced level of this, but now that has become a self-paced module where you have to learn it by yourself. So mainly what you're going to be learning, cost and management accounting, is going to be in CA intern only. Okay, it has got total 15 chapters in the syllabus. So what is basically cost? In very simple words, if I tell you, cost is when you're trying to find out the cost of a particular good or a service. Just simply getting the cost. Cost is not a new word for us. We use it in such a normal basis. But technically how that cost is calculated, how it is accounted for, how does it help the management and decision making, all that we learn in CMA. So basically the history of this subject, it's a very interesting history that we have, but that will be later on when we start with the actual chapter. So coming to now the normal syllabus that we have, okay, and how we are going to be covering it, I'll explain that in short. So first and foremost, we have got, as you can see, total 15 chapters in this. Okay, 15 chapters are there, which we have split basically in 4 parts. The first part is the basic. Okay, that is Introduction to Cost and Management Accounting, CMA we call it in short, and cost sheet chapter. This is what we will be starting with. The weightage of that is 10 to 15%. Okay, so this will be the first few days we'll be learning this. In fact, the introduction cost sheet only learns so many things, a lot of things. And then cost sheet is made of material, labor, overheads. Then how that is, and in detail we learn about material, labor, overheads. That will be our second part. How to get the cost and how to account for the cost. That is the second part. Material, labor, overheads, ABC, and cost accounting system. This is going to be a major chunk of your syllabus. Very, very major. As you can see, 35 to 40% marks in this. So these 7 chapters are in your book number 1, which we have. We have total 3 books in costing. Okay. And we could have an additional MCQ later on. But as of now, we have 3 books, which are 1 book having 7 chapters. And these 7 chapters carry, you can see, total 45 to 55% weightage. You can clearly say half your paper is going to be from that. So very simple words, I'll explain to you what this is all about. Okay. So material cost, like when we have any kind of business. See, why costing is important, I'll explain in very simple terms to you. Okay. See, when we do business, our business is mainly for profits, right? And profit, when we have, there are majorly 2 things in profit. How is profit calculated? It is going to be a selling price minus cost in very basic understanding. So selling price minus cost, when I do selling price something, it depends on the market to a large extent. I also have to see what my competitor is doing, right? If my competitor is charging 100 rupees for one item and I'm charging 150 for same item, who's going to buy my goods? Right? Unless, there is some brand I create or something I do about it. Otherwise speaking, no. So somewhere prices are dependent on the market. But cost is internal, what we try to keep. So if I want to increase my profits, there are 2 ways. One, increase your selling price. Second, decrease your cost. Right? Increasing selling price, not totally in my hands. It is more on the market. And decreasing cost, somewhere in my hands. Right? I would try to keep it in control. So all that we have to understand. Costing is there, very important in that aspect. Like my entire business, my decision making depends on that. So this is what is the basic importance of it. Of course, more I'll explain when we go to the chapter. But now material. So when you're making something, you're going to have material cost, right? Raw material and all. Then you will have labor. Just having material, what is going to happen, right? You will need labor to do that work. So labor would be again, you will have direct labor, indirect labor. So again, I'm repeating, we're going to explain all this later on. But employee cost, that is my second major cost. Along with employee cost, we also have got direct expenses, which is there in that. Then overheads. Overheads is a indirect cost. I cannot specifically tell you, okay, it's material or labor. It comes into like other things. For example, you are manufacturing anything. For manufacturing, you need a factory place. You need rent to pay for that factory. Now, rent is not material. Rent is not labor. Electricity you will need. Not material, not labor. Well, that will be like overheads basically. Okay, so I'm repeating this very brief introduction of the topics. Okay, so that comes under overheads. Then we have got overheads, how to apportion. That will be ABC, activity based costing. And then we have got the next chapter, like how to account for all these things, how to get it accounted for. And these are the 7 chapters which are basically there in book number 1. This is what I call as the basics of my costing. Okay, 7 chapters, basic, 50 marks. Coming to the next part, which is methods of costing. Now, different industries will have different types of costing. For example, the first one is unit batch costing. Now, you are making items in units. I mean, every business will be fit in somewhere or the other it will fit in. Let's say you are into the business of manufacturing food items, okay? Biscuits you're making, or you're making chocolates. You know, every food item has got a batch number written over there, right? So that means they are doing batch costing. Basically, for this batch, how much has been the cost? So that is batch costing which we have. We are making similar kind of things, but in batches. That is one chapter. Then you have got job costing. For a specific job, here it's not the same thing. It is different jobs. Best example, printing. You go to a printing press. Printing press will have different types of thing. Everyone will not print the same thing, right? So it will be different. So every print will be a job. Someone wants to print some cards, some wants to print some visiting cards, some wants to print books. So for them, every job, they have to see what will be the cost, so that they follow job costing. Then we go to big companies which are manufacturing. Okay, so they are manufacturing, so they have to go from one process, they go to second process and the third process. Like let's say automobile sector. Okay, when they're making a car or they're making a bike, or even for that matter making sugar, there would be a process which is followed. So process costing, ki process A, what is the cost, process B, what is the cost, process C, what is the cost, that will be seen. So this is called process costing. This is my next chapter. Then I have got joint products and byproducts. Now what are joint products and byproducts? There are some things which when we manufacture, they come as joint products. Best example, you are having crude oil. When you're doing the processing, you will get diesel and petrol both. So petrol and diesel become like joint products. So how is accounting, how is costing done for that? How do we do the cost calculation for that? Or sometimes when we are making a main product, we get a simple small extra byproduct. Like sugar we are making, we get molasses. Then that is called byproduct. Okay. So then how is that cost calculated for this kind of industries who have got joint products? And then one more, we have the last one which we have in methods of costing is service costing. In service sector. Now service sector, you have so many. Hospital, how to calculate the cost. School, how to calculate. Right? For transport companies, for airlines, for any service oriented industry. And service industry is the biggest right now. So for all of them, how the cost is calculated. Service costing, we learn that. Okay. So hospitals, hotels, libraries, so many things we have in that. So service costing. So we learn now different methods of costing for these things. Okay, and somewhere or the other business is going to fit in somewhere now. So this is going to be a very vast, very interesting thing to learn. Okay, so this is what we have in our syllabus, in our methods of costing. And then we get introduced to standard costing, marginal and budgetary control, which is mainly techniques of costing as I call it. Now techniques of costing, what we have. This is a little more we get into decisions, little more into like advanced part. The third part, the techniques of costing, is slightly advanced. Okay, so that is what we have. And these all 15 chapters in 2 books we have divided. The second book also, if you will see the 8 chapters, they have weightage of 45 to 55 marks. So roughly both the books 50 marks is clear. That is how the weightage is of this. Apart from that, I will be giving you a master stroke book, additional book which is going to have practice for additional questions, because in costing the main thing you need to do is practice a lot. Different types of sums, different types of things are there, and you just need to practice more and more. So we'll have that, which will have a question bank with solutions. We're going to have some tests, chapter wise tests. So 15 chapters, 15 tests, simple, and then 100 marks test later on. So that's how it is going to be working. So this is generally your syllabus and your weightage. They're very simple, straightforward. Now, what is the institute expecting from you? Institute is expecting from you basically two major things which they're going to assess your skills. They're going to test you on these two major things, which I call comprehension and knowledge, and secondly, analysis and application. See, in costing also we have got some theory. Okay, there is theory where we are going to be, having things like you have to remember the concepts. Like MCQs also to some extent are going to be like this only, right? There would be theory based also. Calculations would be there. So definitions, recall of concepts, all these things are coming in your comprehension, that is understanding and knowledge part. Okay, and the same comprehension and knowledge, remember, I will need it for my analysis and application. That is my next step. Remember, this is very, very important. This understanding of knowledge only is going to help me to analyze and apply in the sums, in the MCQs, in the case studies. All that is the problem solving is almost 80%. So roughly you can say around 20% is like theory, not 100% only theory. Huh? There could be small little calculations involved, but majorly it's going to be sums, problem solving, all that will be coming in my 80% marks. So basically, Institute is going to test you on both of them, but of course major part is going to be on your analysis and applying the concepts. So that is how the assessment is. As far as your paper pattern is concerned, it is going to be 30 marks MCQs, and because of MCQs, it's always going to be very interesting, because either students will get very good marks, or they'll not do deep knowledge studies, and they can have lose marks over here. So going deep into the subject, understanding the subject is very, very important, especially for the MCQs. Okay, so that's how it is. And we never leave anything for option, because we know anything can come in the exam. For even 20 marks we can get a big question. So there's no thing that you have to understand everything over here. So I hope the skill assessment, paper pattern, and basic understanding of the what is the syllabus of costing is clear. Now, our teaching strategy. I have already made a detailed video of our teaching strategy, okay, which is already on YouTube. You can see that, but I'll just in brief just explain it once again to you. So basically, our teaching strategy is based on two main pillars. The first one I called is old is gold. This is my first pillar. And second one I called is new in view. So I'll explain that. When I say old is gold, over so many years of experience that I have, like I've been teaching for almost 15 years now. So what I have believed that there are some things which never change in our teaching. That which is what I call old is gold. Like the approach for your studying has to be based on hard work. Has to be based on, there is no shortcut to success. You have to work hard. So that is what your approach only should be, very much clear, positive, and yes, we have to work. Okay, no shortcuts. So that is the first thing which we have. A, it's A, B, C, D. B, we are going to have is our books should be properly having all the things covered. The notes should be updated, concise, all that we have taken care of. Okay. C is what we have, conceptual clarity, which is extremely important, because without knowing the concepts, you can do nothing. Trust me, nothing can be done without the concepts. So conceptual clarity is a must. Coming then to the D point, which is doubt clarification. So whenever we are teaching, remember, out of experience, we know normally 90% of the places we know where students make mistakes or where they get the doubts. 90%. 10% I keep to your imagination, because end of the day, all are students. Your imagination can be very, very wild also, or it can be some very, very basic things also can be asked. No problem at all. All your doubts will be cleared. Okay. Your doubts will be cleared either in the form of, you can have WhatsApp queries, you can mail them, you can call, whatever be it. Okay. So that's it. And the last one in old is gold technique we have is exams. Tests which are to be given. Like I said, chapter wise test. We'll have 100 marks test later on. All that will be coming in E. That is exams and tests. So these 5 things, this is the pillar, the main pillar of old is gold. But along with that now, because of new syllabus, some new things also we need to have, right? So these are things like simple ones. Every chapter, after the chapter is complete, we're going to have a chapter wise revision. That revision lecture, I will be giving you little more views. Like for example, you have taken 1.5 view lecture. But the revision lectures will be little more. Maybe I'll give you 3 views on that, so that you can revise it on multiple times. So that is what we will be having. When we are studying right from the beginning only, we'll be seeing ki, like what is important. So after chapter is over, what are the major things we have here, or which sums are extremely important that you need to do one day before the exam, that we will be marking and keeping. Okay, so important things. Then we'll have marathon. Like once the whole syllabus is over, we can have a marathon, which I'll be putting on YouTube also, for the whole syllabus together, revision of that. Then small tips and tricks. So anyways, while studying only, we have a lot of these things coming up, so that's not very it's just by the way we do it. Practical corner, some real practical case studies. So we have going to see reports of big companies, like Reliance and Tata and all these companies, to understand how really things work. Whether in your practical subjects, practically we need to see things, right? So we'll be seeing that. MCQs will have a lot of practice, and test series later on in the future we would have. So these are my two pillars of teaching strategy. Based on this strategy only, we have come with our teaching style or our teaching technique, which we have got books, as I said, 3-4 books, whatever it is. Maybe MCQ extra book later on we'll have. So all these are the books which we'll be giving you. The books are not just colorful and concise and beautifully presented. The best part about the books, it's very very understandable. It's very simple language. I have not made it too complicated. I believe in simplifying things, not complicating things. So I'll not give you multiple and lot of books just to keep unnecessarily bombarding the students. I don't believe in that. I believe in simplification. So what is needed in that one book, you will have everything. Okay, even the summary part which is there, the notes only are summarized in such a way that you will be able to understand it there only. I'll show you when we study, you'll understand that. So automatically they become very important. And yes, the most important thing, students ask, do we need to cover anything more? So answer is no, you don't need to cover anything more than these books. It's enough. Institute material, fully covered. Institute MCQs, fully covered. Institute related whatever RTP, MTP, past exam questions, along with the weightage, along with it, everything is covered. So our notes are, you can say, the Bible. This is all you need to see, nothing else. Do this well and you will get amazing marks. What is not covered is something which is futuristic. For example, in your attempt, what will be the MTP or the RTP that time, right? That additional thing only at that time you need to do. That is one thing. Second thing, but majorly in that all is also covered here. What happens in RTP, MTPs, you will get similar questions. Sometimes new things may come up that I will be putting separately on YouTube. So any updations are there, any different things are there, we'll be putting it on YouTube. So you have to subscribe to the channel and keep it. Okay, so this is what you have. Then coming to the thing, the last point, if you will see, that is our technique, which I call CAST technique of study. First we build on the concepts, right? How the concepts are built, we have our chapter which is split up into clusters. Clusters means small parts, and then we learn the concepts. Once we learn the concepts, we learn how to apply the concepts, that is application A. Then we learn S, that is speed, solving it in time. Because end of the day, you have to complete your paper in 3 hours correctly and properly. So we have to prepare for that also, correct? In practical subject like accounts and costing, the main problem is completion of the paper. It's always going to be a problem. For that, speed and accuracy are very important. Not that you're doing very fast and you're making a lot of silly mistakes. That cannot work. So accuracy also goes along with that. So that we have to get. That is the third step that we have to achieve. And then all this is properly done or no, we'll come to know in T point, that is our tests. Whether we are going correct, whether we are getting the concepts, whether we are applying it correctly, and whether we are able to complete it in time correctly. All that we will be seeing in our T, that is our tests. Okay. Again, I have a detailed video of this also, which is already on YouTube, because strategy and technique will not change ever. So this is how it is going to be. So now coming to how you will get the best from our video lectures. See, I have given my commitment today to you that I will be doing all these things. I'll be doing my strategy, my technique properly. I will be doing everything here from my side. So I will need some things from you also, right? Because end of the day, you have to walk this path. Remember, we are there to guide you. So how will you get the best from video lectures? So I have devised 5 points which apply to you also. So the first thing that I want from you is A point. This A point talks about your attendance and attentiveness. Attendance here means that every single day, whatever it is, you have to be attending your classes, doing your class every day, because it will pile up otherwise. Suppose you're doing it slowly. Today I don't feel like doing this, I don't feel like today, whatever. That don't feel like thing is going to cost you a lot of time later. So you need to be attending the classes on a consistent basis regularly. Hmm? You have to be attentive during the class, not that you're doing it on fast forward mode, doing it fast. No, attend and be attentive, concentrate, focus properly, and do. This is what I want from you. The B point which I want is whatever books there are, like you'll be having proper registers which you're going to be making. So notebooks that I'm talking, those books have to be complete. No untidy handwriting. You should have it nice, clean, tidy, legible, readable properly. Neta, I've seen students how horrible they write now. They themselves don't understand afterwards, ma'am, what have we written? They'll ask me. I mean, seriously. You have to understand books and notes have to be complete properly. Very, very important. Also, today only I'm telling you that you will be needing at least 3 to 4 notebooks because you're going to solve a lot. You're going to be needing like 250, 200 to 250 pages. You take the notebooks, no problem. Along with that, you will carry with you always 3 to 4 color pens, different coloring. Okay, blue, black, green. Keep multiple colors so that you can highlight, you can write important things, in different colors or steps. Normally I do in different colors for you to understand. Remember, exam you can't use this, multiple colors, only black allowed there. But here normally, when you're writing in a notebook for theory, for tables, it's good if you have colorful. 2 highlighters we need. Okay, 2 different color highlighters, 4 color pens. We'll of course need sticky notes, because whatever important is there and all that you can stick in your notebook. It really helps a lot. These things now when you're studying later on, these help a lot. You know exactly, are here that orange color sticky note, something I had written, and that keeps it is there in your mind. This is a simple mind mapping technique which we have, where your notebook is such or your textbook is such that everything is properly, what you have written here, why you have written it, where you made silly mistakes, you can have those things. So all that will be important when you have your books or notes. That's your B point. So from your side, I want all these things. Okay. The C point I want from your side is, I have already told you the importance of this today in the beginning, consistency. Okay. Every time regularity is very important. Remember, consistency easily beats intensity. Intensity means you're doing few days, but you're doing a lot. No. You do every day, fair, not little. Not little you can't do. You have to do good enough. But you have to do that. That's more important. Like 4 days I study a lot, then 3 days I don't do anything. No. Do 6 days, 1 day you take rest, no problem. But 6 days do properly. So that is what you have. Consistency and concentration. Along with that, Sito, you have to have your concepts clear. That too I'm here, but you also have to do it from your end. Correct? So discipline is important. Fix a timing. Fix a timing that these will be the 2 hours I'll be giving for the class. So you have to do that, fix it and do it properly. Discipline is required. Again, while this you're seeing your mobile, your lecture is going on, you're seeing your mobile. No, not acceptable. 2 hours, your notebook, your calculator, your things, everything there going on, and you are doing it understanding. Trust me, you will get the best. You'll always feel I'm there with you. Okay, so that's very, very important. So that's how I teach. The same thing, discipline, dedication from my side also it comes now. So I want you to also follow it. And last, and the E point is the test that we have. Those tests you have to solve properly, sincerely, and most importantly, honestly. So honesty is totally an onus on you, correct? The 100 marks paper which we have, that I will be checking for you. But the normal test wise which are there, the solutions are there, we'll discuss it. That is different. But that honesty and sincerity is from you. Now you're not kids also. Now you're working for your own career. So you have to be that much sincere and honest. Okay. So these are the things that we require from you. And if you do all this and promise me, I promise you to get really good marks, knowledge, and obviously you'll be happy after that, right? Happy, proud. So then, briefly I'll tell you about myself. I'm CA Neha Lathi Mittal, and I have been teaching for last 15 years. I have come 3rd and 5th in my CA P2 and CA final. That time we had got CA P2. Okay, so all over India I have stood 3rd and 5th. Also, I have come in my 12th. I have been in the merit list in my BCom, MCom exams also. After doing my CA, I've also done my CSA, DSA. I've cleared all the 3 levels of my CFA US exam. I've done my dip IFRS also, because now IFRS is like new, right? It is something we need to know. So I've done that also, the UK based, the London based exam which is there. So I've done that. Apart from it, I've been teaching for last 15 years. I already told you 30,000 around more only students I've guided. And these students have been in all types, face to face, virtual, pen drive, everything. Okay. So that's about me, and conceptual clarity and simplification, two important things I did, right? So that's how we try to learn the things. Now that I've introduced myself, I've introduced your syllabus, I've introduced your, the teaching style, everything. So now we can start with our actual chapter, actual learning. So well, now let us start with our first chapter, that is Introduction to Cost and Management Accounting. As the name is saying, it is an introduction chapter. Basically, this chapter will talk about what is cost, what is costing, what are the different types of cost, what is management accounting, what is the difference between them, why do we have a cost accounting system, and so on. It is a theoretical chapter. This is the only chapter which is pure theoretical. Very few sums in this chapter. Whereas all the remaining chapters of costing, it's pure practical, lots and lots of sums and little bit of theory. So that's exactly how this chapter is. It is going to introduce you to the different terms which are there. So as much as it we'll understand in this chapter, but there will be a few things as and how you will progress, you will understand it better and better. Okay, so now before we start with the introduction, let me give you a brief history of this cost and management accounting. First, we will talk about costing. What exactly is costing? So by simple words, if we see, costing means calculating the cost of some product or service. Very simple. So if I'm talking about, let's say, this computer, I'm talking about this camera, we are trying to calculate the cost of that thing. How much it costs to make it. If I'm talking about, let's say, service, let's say there is a airline company, they want to find out the cost of their, journey, let's say from Mumbai to Delhi, then that is what they're trying to find, the cost of that service. It could be a goods or it could be a service. Anything can be possible. So basically it means that. But why is it so important? Because of the simple reason that there were some limitations in our financial accounting, because of which cost accounting came. So little bit now let us think about financial accounting first, the normal accounting that we learn. What happened there and why did we feel the need of some other branch, something extra other than financial accounting? So let us simply think about, when did financial accounting start? See, we had got initially the barter system. Very like years and years, centuries back, we had got the barter system where goods were exchanged for goods, right? This is also the history of our accounts. So this is like a history, and then this history gets linked with our costing. So listen now carefully. So first we had got what we call as the barter system, and their goods used to be exchanged for goods, and there was no value really placed on the goods. But slowly, steadily, people started placing value. They realized earlier it was like just exchange anything for anything. So even if somebody had a, let's say, somebody had a cow and somebody had some fruits, they would just exchange it according to the need of the person. But then after some time, they realized that cows are more valuable than fruits, and then exactly the value started being placed. After value was being placed, it so happened that it was very difficult to measure everything in terms of the other thing. So we did not have a common measure. So then they realized that no, we need something common where we can express everything in a common measurement. And that is when came our money in picture. So money came. After money came, then businesses started growing because it was then easier to do things. You could place value to everything. Businesses initially started as, very simple individuals, then they went to partnership, then came the company form of organization. So company form of organization came, and then obviously there was like, a lot of growth in the businesses. Similarly, at that time we had got our 1494, where Luca di Pacioli gave us our accounting. He was an Italian economist, and he gave us this double entry system. From there, normal accounting started, debit credit started. But you know what? Till then also there was no need of cost accounting. Cost accounting was very less used in companies inside. There was nothing too developed at that time. But then what happened was, after many years, then the world wars happened. When the first world war happened, at that point of time, the whole there's so many countries which were involved in the world war, And because of those countries being involved, what happened is there was a lot of defense expenditure which was being incurred. And then countries realized that, oh my god, so much of cost we are spending on defense. Then also they needed more defense equipment, ammunition, etc. And then at that point of time, the cost came into picture. The cost of defense came into picture. There were a lot of cost plus contracts internationally which were happening. Cost plus contract means what? Like if I want to give you a price of something, I don't give you directly price. I say whatever cost I will incur plus a certain percentage of profit I will add, I will give you. So for example, I incur a cost plus contract is a cost plus 10%. Means if the cost of that item I make is 100 rupees plus 10 I will add, and 110 will be the price. So obviously then cost came into picture in a very big way. People started understanding that yes, we need the cost of these things properly. So then costing started development. So it was like the World War, which was actually one of the main triggers. Apart from that, industrial revolution was happening. Industries were growing. Competition was growing. So everybody realized that we need to have good cost over here if you want to, we want a good reasonable cost so that we can grow in the business. So one hand this wars happening, then one hand was industrial revolution happening, and on the other hand, our accounts was having some limitation. Now, what were the limitations of accounts? So, simple limitations like, I will just give you in writing, it will be good for you. You can take this down. Main limitation of accounts. What was the main limitation of accounts? Okay. Just before that, I'll introduce you to the chapter. See how the chapter flows. Okay. You will see this is exactly, I give you the chapter overview. So, what we are going to be covering in this chapter. So, these are the major heads of the chapter, what we are going to cover, the concepts that we have to cover. Okay, so here we have got the introduction, then we have got definitions. You will see the theory is very nicely laid for you. Okay, these are the theory part which is there. Okay, cost reduction, cost control, all this we are going to be learning now. Then you will see difference between everything. All the theory of your module has been covered. A little extra also would be there which is necessary from your exam point of view. See, what I really want you to see is after this theory, how the chapter we have done. See, now here, this question has come in your May 23 for 5 marks. So, where direct theory questions are there, some of them I've included like this directly in the notes itself. You will see, everywhere possible I've given you charts, points, everything is like properly presented for you, okay? And other than this also, whatever is necessary, we'll be writing in the notebooks. Okay, so it's not like theory is there, so we will not write anything. What is important, we have to write it in the book also. Right? And then, oh, this chapter is big. Huh? Lots and lots of pages. Huh? See, this is what. Now, once we are done with the basic theory, okay, this is all the theory which we have. Then we are having this. Like I give you some MCQs for practice. After that, we have got some match the following. Again, this is just to clear your concepts. Then we have got some true or false. See, in the exam, they will ask you only MCQs, right? And normal questions. But to clear your concept, all these things are going to help. Okay, so true or false also can come in the form of MCQs. They can give you 2-3 statements, state whether one is true, second is false, or whatever. There can be MCQ options based on that. And these are the theory questions which have come in the exam, along with the weightage and what kind of questions have come that I've given you. As you can see, everywhere I've given you properly the questions. Then your problem start. These are practical problems, okay? So few sums I told you, now you have a few sums. So these are the few things that you have. Again with the exam, what is it for? This is your ICS study math question. Again, everything has been properly given to you, okay? So this is how any chapter of yours will be looking. This chapter is, like I said, little more theory and few sums over here. But all others, you have got ample of sums, ample of practice which is going to come, okay? So, coming back to what we were saying, we were talking about how the costing has evolved over the things. So, one hand we said industrial revolution was playing a role. On the other hand, because of the World War, many countries were involved and costs, especially for defense and this, war equipment was going high. So, because of that, they needed to understand the cost. And obviously, businesses in general were growing. And on one hand, we had got some limitations of our cost accounting. Limitations of financial accounting. So now, what were the limitations of financial accounts? You can write down. So let us understand now. First of all, So now why did cost accounting come as a, extra subject? Why did it happen? So basically, why did cost accounting emerge? We were having financial accounts, still we wanted cost accounting. There were reasons for it. So there were like, three, four major things which came into picture and cost accounting came. One, as I already explained, the first thing, historical aspect was what? It was after the world wars. After world wars, what happens? Cost accounting, or rather cost calculations became important. Okay, so cost accounting or cost estimates became important. Not only that, what happened? There was rapid industrial development. So that was one reason why we needed more of, understanding the cost of the products. This was happening here. Apart from that, what was happening? Plus, we had got that our accounts, financial accounts, had certain limitations. Financial accounting had limitations. Now, what were the major limitations? One of the biggest limitation that we had was that overall profit is given. We are giving a overall profit or loss of the business. And we are not having what? Product wise data was not really available that time. So, product wise data not available. So, we will never come to know whether there is a product which is making losses. Everything was seen on a total basis. Okay, we are making profit. Okay, good. But out of say 4 products we are selling, one product is not making profit. How will you come to know? That was not really so much, it was not a big concern. People just not bother about it. So that was thing. Product data was not available. Secondly, when we talk about financial accounts, we are only talking about the cost which we actually incur, right? So this is like what we say out of pocket, what we are really spending, we don't have notional cost in picture. We don't think about opportunity cost. These all things are not considered in our financial accounts. But when we talk about cost accounts, we think of these things, right? There would be some opportunity cost of things, or notional cost would be there. That is also considered in decision making, and that was not happening with financial accounts. So in financial accounts, what was happening mainly? We are not considering what we call as implied cost or implicit cost. Implicit, opportunity cost. You're going to learn these things. Right now, understand explicit means what you actually incur. Implicit means it is a notional cost. For example, if I'm using my own building for my office, so in that case, I'm not really paying rent. I'm not paying rent. So if I am taking someone else's property, I'm paying rent, it is called explicit cost. Implied cost means here, I'm not paying rent to myself, so obviously it is not counted in my accounts. But in costing, I have to consider that if I give this out on rent to somebody, I will earn so much. So at least if I'm doing my business, I should earn more than that, more than the rent I have lost. So these things are considered in costing, which were not considered in my financial accounts. Not considering implicit cost, that was the problem. Third thing, it was more of a post-mortem. Everything we would come to know at the year end, at what we made profit or whatever. More of a post-mortem. Not so useful for decision making. Not so useful. It is not at all useful, but not so useful for managerial decision making. For managerial decision making. Because management is in, wanting more things, more detailed. So all these limitations were there of financial accounts, and because of which again we needed something more. So then cost accounting started developing. Okay. And apart from this, what was happening in businesses? Businesses also. Businesses, what happened was, first of all, there was increase in cost consciousness. People and businesses were getting aware that we need to control our costs. Okay. So increase in cost consciousness. Very, very important was your competition. There was increased competition. To survive that cutthroat competition, somewhere to you need to reduce your cost, right? So second reason we had got is growing competition in the business. Thirdly, we were having, for decision making, we needed some, more information, decision making. And very important fourth point is cost leadership. Now, what is this cost leadership? Basically, we have got this management guru, Michael Porter, who had put forward that if you want to get a business, you want to, this you have in your SM also, this concept. But if you want to grow in your business, there are three bases on which you can grow. One, you can do is you can have cost leadership. You try to make the best product in the lowest cost. Because you're getting a cost advantage, you can, sell your product at, better rates. So that is why you can, try to get that. Either you go for cost leadership or you are trying to create product differentiation. If your product is only different, it is not the normal product, you're trying to make something different, so then people will buy it anyways. So if you are not able to have cost leadership, then you try to differentiate your product, try to create a different brand for your product. A third possibility is focus on niche, a niche or a focus in a specific area, specific market, where you will be having like kind of monopoly. So he said any of this would be helping you to grow your business. So cost leadership was one of the major things. And here best example for cost leadership is Amazon. Why? What are we doing nowadays? When we go, we see in the shop, we go to these companies, we go to big showrooms, we see mobile or we see some electronics, and then we finally go and buy it online. Why are we doing this? Because obviously Amazon has been able to do that. They have been able to get cost leadership because of the quantity involved, because of the discounts that we are getting online, because of the overheads which are less over there, right? So when we talk about a showroom, the showroom is going to have like to spend salaries, they're going to pay rent, they have got electricity expenses, promotional expenses, salesmen, commission, so many things are involved. And here when we take an Amazon, basically all these costs get saved, which is passed on to the customer to some extent, right? So considering that, they are trying to play on cost leadership. What is China doing? China is also playing on cost leadership because China is able to make the goods at a very low rate. Simple example, we take this calculator. Okay, everybody is using calculators, but now some of them are using branded, which will cost 500, 600 rupees, even up to 1000 rupees. You have branded computer calculators, and some of us are using simple like 100, 200 rupees, which is Chinese local made. We say okay, even if we use 2 3, it's okay na, and some of them work also. So it's like Chinese market, we know either it will work, it will not work, but we are ready for it. Why? Because they have got that competitive advantage in terms of cost. So they're able to make it at a lower cost, and that's exactly what businesses and all are doing. So all these things together were playing a role. And then finally we realized that no, only financial accounting is not enough, we need something more. And that is when our cost accounting was developed. Earlier it was a small branch of accounting, but now it became a very, very big, like separate branch of accounting. It is still a branch of accounting. We call it cost accounting only yet. Okay, but it is now a specialized different place it has of its own. So you can write down now, because of all these reasons, what happened? Because of all this, 1, 2, and 3, costing emerged. Costing emerged as a separate, different branch different branch of financial accounting. And then it has its own rules, everything is there, we have our own way of doing things. Okay, so when we say our financial accounting was 1494, mainly it got stabilized. Here in this we call this a creation of the 20th century. This is not a very old concept. That's what they call costing. Creation of the 20th century. So I hope this is clear. Thereafter, even management accounting developed. Now, what is management accounting? It is a step ahead of cost accounting. Cost accounting also had got limitations because cost accounting mainly dealt with cost calculations, how it will be accounted. But how it will be helpful in decision making, where we will combine costing, tax, budgets, and all those things. And then management accounting also developed. Your syllabus is mainly cost accounting. Management accounting is mainly in CA final. Little bit of management accounting you do have, which we will be discussing later on when it comes. But today, as of now, management accounting developed because again, some limitations of cost accounting happened. Okay, so management accounting developed. Basic difference we will learn in the same chapter, but right now understand these are how the things worked. Now, all this that we are saying is the context all over the world. What I hope you've written this down first. Write it down properly. Write properly everything. One more point you can write over here in your business is proper pricing. Wanted proper pricing also. If you know the proper cost, then you can give the proper pricing and you can sustain yourself in the market, right? So that's how it is. So now all this was happening out of India, right? This was like generally everywhere in the world these were things were happening. So what was happening in our India about this cost accounting? Okay, so in 1959, in India, what happened was in 1959 in Kolkata, ICWAI was formed. That is Institute of Cost and Work Accountants of India. That was formed. Today it is not called this. Today it is called now. Now it is called Institute ICMAI. Institute of Cost Accountants of India, Cost and Management Accountants of India. So now it is ICMAI. So this is basically the institute where our cost accountants study, CMA. So some of you also may be doing CMA, so you'll be doing it from this institute. So in India, this was formed, and this is also very, it's like I think second largest biggest thing after CMA London. So London is the main CMA which you have the institute, and I think this is second largest if I'm not wrong. So this is what we are, even CMAs, we have like a lot of growth happening in this field. Okay, so I hope this is clear. So this institute was formed, and they take care of the cost accounting. They are the experts in cost. They are called only cost accountants. Okay, so we learn it as a subject, they learn it as their profession. So this is how things are in our country. So I'm sure you understood now the entire background and the history of why cost accounting happened and why we, need this field. So now let us get into the details of what is costing, what is cost accounting, etc., etc. Okay, so I hope all this is clear now. You write down the full form: Institute of Cost Accountants of India. Institute of Cost Accountants of India. So this is our Indian context. So now coming to the introduction part. We had just spoken about a strategy wherein this is Michael Porter's photo over here, and he is the management guru who has told that if you want to grow in business, you would have to take one of these into picture. Either you have got cost leadership wherein you are able to manufacture your particular goods at the lowest cost possible, then you will be able to get into the market, like we took example of Amazon. Okay, another example could be McDonald's. These, they also have kind of really got their cost really low. We'll discuss it later on. Okay, or you would have product differentiation. Product differentiation means what? Your product is different, you're trying to create something different for the users. Best example today is, you can say, is vehicles. So these cars and all which are coming up, that segment is like, they are trying to create a different product. So you can have that. Or then you have got a focus on niche customers. You have like, focused on, exactly where you want to grow. So for example, we see BMW, Jaguar, these companies, they, or iPhone for that matter, these all focus on the branding, the niche, creating this kind of, market. Starbucks. So then they would be doing in that form. For them, then cost leadership or product differentiation will not be that important. For them, creating that focus on niche is there. So everyone who has grown has, somewhere or the other used any of this and grown. We are concerned with our cost leadership mainly because that is relating to our subject. In your SM strategic management, you will be learning about these other things also. Okay. So what is the meaning of cost leadership? So one of the ways of growing your business is cost leadership. And in cost leadership, what you are doing? You are trying to produce your goods or services at a lowest cost while still maintaining the quality to have better competitive pricing so that you can sell it at a better rate. That is the whole idea about this thing. Okay. So if you obviously get at a good rate, you can manufacture at a low rate. You'll be able to sell also at a better rate. As simple as that. So this is what, our cost leadership is important. Okay. So now coming to the definitions that we have. So one by one, let us understand these definitions. So the first one we have is cost. Obviously, we're talking about. So cost. What does cost mean? In simple layman term, if I say, what is cost? Cost is what you're giving up for some goods or services. What resource you're giving up for buying some goods or service. Very simple words. So let's say you go to the shop, you want some water and you say, mineral water, and you say, okay, 20 rupees is the cost because you're giving 20 rupees to get that goods. Very simple. Okay. If let's say you're buying a class, then this is a service that I'm giving. So let's say, for example, 10,000 is the fees for the service. So then 10,000 is the cost, the amount that you're paying for getting the service. Simple. So cost is basically that, the resource you're giving up for a goods or a service. First thing. Second thing, cost would mean different for different person. Like for example, if there is a manufacturer who's selling the goods or making the goods rather at 10 rupees. So his cost of manufacturing of, let's say, a pen is 10 rupees. Then he gives it to the retailer. He gives it to the retailer at 16 rupees. So what becomes that 16 rupees? 10 is his cost. 16 is his selling price. But retailer's cost price becomes 16 rupees. Right? And then the retailer sells it to me, my final customer, who I'm buying at 25 rupees that pen. So then in that case, 25 becomes my cost and his selling price is 25. So it is obvious that if there is a person who is like, in the chain he's involved, in the chain of, a transfer or the sale of the whole thing or the services involved, there will be a cost involved and there will be, selling price involved of that, unless I'm consuming the thing. For example, if I am a consumer, then I'm taking the pen. I'm not going to sell the pen. So for me, 25 is the cost and it is over there. But it depends on whether you're in the chain or how you're going to be, what you're going to do with that. Okay. So this is basically the cost. Cost is simply speaking, as you can see in the definition given, it is the resource given up, what you're giving up for some goods or services. Very simple. So now when we use the word cost, it could be in the context of a noun I'm using it. Noun means when I'm saying that, okay, the cost of this item is so and so rupees. So it is directly I'm talking about the cost. It is the amount I'm saying. So I said the cost of that pen is 10 rupees. So I'm giving the amount of expenditure incurred on making that particular product, article or activity. And here when I say the cost could be a actual cost or notional cost. Okay. It could be anything. It's just the cost. Then we have got so many types of cost. We have got implicit, explicit, discretionary cost. We have got, marginal cost, variable cost, fixed cost, administrative cost, selling cost, distribution cost. Like different types are there. Okay, direct material cost, direct labor. There's so many things which we have to learn about. Different types of cost which are there. There are different ways of how you classify the cost. So all that in the same chapter we're going to have little later. So right now, simply the resource I've given up for some goods or services. Very simple. Okay. Also cost, when I use it as a verb. Verb means when I'm saying it's costing. So when I use it as a verb, it becomes, verb means like action word, right? So it just becomes ing, we add to it and it becomes costing. That's it. So when I say costing means I'm trying to find the cost of a particular item. So the technique of process of ascertaining the cost. And when I ascertain the cost, I'm ascertaining the cost for some goods or service, for some particular thing I'm trying to find out the cost, and that is called costing. Okay, so cost and costing means finding the cost. Okay, so trying to calculate the cost. Ascertaining the cost means calculating the cost. So here, according to SEMA, what is SEMA now? SEMA is London-based institute. Okay, it's the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants of, it's like a global organization. So basically, according to them, so lots of definitions we see as per SEMA. SEMA means, again I'm repeating, it's the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants of London. Okay, so that is, they have given the definition that a costing system is the foundation of, your internal financial information for managers. It gives the information to the management regarding the planning, controlling the organization activities, etc. That's not so important. What we need to understand is what is costing. The technique process of calculating the cost is costing. Okay. And then comes cost accounting. Now you have calculated the cost using costing. So how will you account for that cost is cost accounting. It is a process of accounting for the cost. And what it starts with? It starts with recording your income and expenditure, right? So income and costs both are accounted for, and ends with what? With the preparation of statements and reports for calculating and controlling the cost. So cost accounting, it starts with your cost recording, your income recording, and ends with what? Obviously the profit, the statements, and the final product, like what exactly have you earned. It can be used to control your cost. It can be helpful in finding the profit. Whatever it is, that will be your cost accounting. Okay. So cost, costing, cost accounting. Cost is the amount of expenditure incurred. Costing is finding out the amount. So technique of finding out that amount, ascertaining the amount. Cost accounting is accounting for this, starting with the income and cost expenses and ending with the statements, which are the final product of, the cost, like cost sheet, or this can be your cost accounting. So you have a separate chapter on cost accounting. Okay. Then comes cost accountancy. Accountancy will be a wider term. Okay, wider term what? It is applying both costing and cost accounting principles, methods and techniques to the science, art and practice of cost control and ascertaining the profits. So what happens is, you will see, when I say cost accounting, it is both costing and cost accounting principles. We are using both. Did you see? Yes, you are applying costing and cost accounting principles to the cost, to the science, art and practice of cost control. So basically are using it for your cost control and getting the profits. Now why do we call it a science, art? Because see, when we talk about science, it is based on certain principles. We have certain rules which are there. But there are also some areas, art why we call it, because there could be some areas where rules 100% don't apply. So we are using a little bit of liberty, or a little bit of, we can have difference of opinion there. So it could be considered like that. So they say it is a science, art, etc. So anyways, the point is, this is how it is. And so cost accountancy, all this was relating to cost. Then comes the management accounting in picture. Now, management accounting is one step ahead of cost accounting. Remember that. It is wider in scope. It is a bigger thing than cost accounting. What is bigger in that? So, management accounting is where now you're applying not just costing, you're applying costing, accounts and financial management. So, what are you doing? You're using principles of accounting and financial management to create, protect, preserve, increase the value for the shareholders, stakeholders in the businesses. So when I am combining what? I'm combining costing, I'm combining normal accounts, I'm combining financial management, and using that for creating value. Means basically I'm trying to make more profits, I'm trying to take my decisions based on management accounting. That's management accounting. Okay, it is an integral part of management, and it helps the management for giving informations with which I can use for my decision making. That's the main thing. That's the purpose of management accounting. Okay, so what happened? Cost accounting used to just give the cost. Okay, this is the cost, finished. So management accounting used that cost, used little bit of accounts, used little bit of tax, and made it more useful for decision making. So that is where management accounting came in picture. Okay, so we have the distinguish between the two again in the same chapter little later. So simple words with that is how it is. And last one we have is cost management. Now we are going to combine two things, cost and management. That will be my sixth one. It is applying these management accounting principles, concepts, methods of collection, again to do what? To plan, monitor and control the cost. So when I use management accounting to help me in my planning of cost, controlling the cost, then it becomes cost management. So now you might think that everything is sounding the same. And no, it's not. There is distinction between them. So if I just summarize it very simply, okay, you have this diagram, see. This will give you the full summary of what exactly is the 6 things we were talking about, right? So coming to the first one, what was cost? It is expenditure incurred for any goods or services, article, product, anything. Okay, it is the expenditure incurred. Costing, finding out the technique of process of ascertaining the cost. So finding out the cost is costing. Accounting for the cost is cost accounting. Process of accounting for the cost. Right? So these three are somewhere linked with each other. Cost, finding it is called costing, and accounting for it is called cost accounting. Finished? Over. These two together, which costing and cost accounting together, this plus this together somewhere gives me cost accountancy. What is cost accountancy? Application of costing and cost accounting principles, methods and techniques. So this is cost accountancy, which is wider in scope. There costing ends and then management comes in picture. Management accounting. Management accounting, one step ahead we are going. What are we doing? We are applying the principles of accounts and FM also. So accounts and FM also we are applying over here. Of course, for costing purpose, cost also we are using. Cost is useful for accounting and for management. So it is helpful, and yes, it is helpful in decision making. Main decision making happens over here. And then lastly, what is cost management? Using management accounting. Right? Using management accounting for presenting your cost data. So this is what we have. So cost plus management accounting is equal to cost management. That's how it goes. Okay, so I hope this is clear now. So this is how it is. So normally this kind of question can come in your MCQs. They can ask you MCQ relating to these questions. Okay. Then coming to a very, very simple topic. Next one we have is what are the objectives of cost accounting? What does cost accounting really do? So cost accounting mainly takes care of 5 things. Obviously, cost accounting first objective is to give you the cost, calculate the cost. Once the cost is calculated, second will be calculating your selling price. Selling price and cost, once I know profitability, I can find out. So these two things are there. Then comes how I will try to control my cost. So when I was telling you manufacturer is making the pen at 10 rupees. So that is his normal cost. He can make it at 10 rupees. But if the manufacturer does not take care of it, more material is getting wasted, labor is wasting time, then that 10 rupees cost will become 11 rupees. Na? So you have to be careful. The cost control means trying to keep the cost within that standard cost of 10 rupees. So you will have someone monitoring the material, the labor, so that the cost will not get wasted. There will be no wastage. So cost control means trying to keep it within that, and cost accounting tries to do that also. That is one objective. Then comes a very important thing. When we get the cost, then we find out the selling price and profit. Then cost control, okay, and cost reduction. These two things we have to discuss in detail immediately after this. But just to introduce this to you, cost reduction means what? Now I was telling you the manufacturer is making the pen for 10 rupees. This is his normal cost. Over the years, he knows that about 10 rupees it costs. But then he's also doing research. He wants the cost leadership advantage. He wants to reduce the cost and without compromising on the quality. So what will he do? Then he will do cost. This is the next step which comes cost reduction. He is working like, the manufacturer is having research, development, lot of things he is doing just to find out how he can make the same product at a lower cost. So then he finds out that this material which I'm using, this material can be substituted with another material. He's got another material which has come now. So then a new material has come in the market. So he says, okay, let me use this then. And using that material, the cost comes down by say 50 paise. Now you will say only 50 paise, but it is 10 rupees. 50 paise. So it's a 5% decrease, which is a good thing in costing. Okay. So in that scenario, that 50 paise which he has got, now his standard cost became 9.5 rupees. This 50 paise doesn't come overnight. It comes with a lot of research. And that is what I call cost reduction. It is getting the cost down without affecting the quality of the product. Very important. Otherwise, you can reduce the cost. What is the big deal? That's not the case. You want to reduce it in terms of without affecting the quality. Okay. So cost reduction is where you're trying to get a lower cost. You're trying to reduce the cost permanently. This also cost accounting is helpful for. And lastly, it helps in management to take decisions. So simple 5 objectives are there of our cost accounting. What are the 5 objectives? We call it ASCRM. What is ASCRM? First, we ascertain cost. A is ascertainment of cost. S is your selling price and the profit. Then again we have C, cost of controlling the cost. Then R is your reduction in cost. And M is helping management in decision making. This is why cost accounting is actually there, to help you in all these things. So I hope this is clear. Yes? Okay. Then coming to the next point which we have is, like I was telling you, very, very important. In fact, the most important discussion of today we are going to do now, that is cost control and cost reduction. 2 things. Okay? 2 things we have to learn now. First, cost control. Cost control means you have a standard predetermined cost. This is the cost. Out of experience, out of my calculations, I believe that I can make this product in 10 rupees. So 10 rupees is my first thing. I find out what should be the standard cost of the product. Then I see what is the actual cost. When we actually made the product, the cost came to 11 rupees. Then obviously I'm worried, are 1 rupee extra? Why 1 rupee extra? Then third, I will see the difference. What is the difference? Why it is different? It is 1 rupee extra. And then I will analyze the reason. That variance, why it happened. Variance means the difference why it came. So this is what we will do. And then using that, so I came to know 1 rupee was wasted because of this labor. Labor has, wasted time. There was a lot of idle time in labor. So instead of completing the article in say 2 hours, they took 4 hours. So that is why my problem happened. And then I will take action against that. Maybe I will, reduce the idle time. I will have a supervisor who will take care of them. Or maybe I'll give incentive to the workers to finish in time. Something I will do, right? So that is what we have. So cost control basically means first deciding a standard cost, trying to achieve that cost, comparing with actual, seeing the differences, and like analyzing why the difference happened, and then taking action on the basis of that. Okay, so this is what we mean by cost control. Very, very simple. 4 steps are involved. So what are the 4 steps? First, we have got the standard. We decide on the standard. This standard which we decide is what? Again, based on experience, based on the things that we have. Okay. Now in this points, you will see cost object, cost center, some words are used. So I will explain cost object a little later. In the same chapter we have, but just understand the basic points right now. Second, then you measure the actual performance. First, we decided the standard cost, then we see the actual performance, and then we compare it. Once we compare the two, actual with our standard or target, we will come to know that there is some deviation, some difference, variance, deviation, variance, difference, all same thing. And then finally, what I will do, I will analyze what was the reason why there was variance and then take appropriate action. So I hope you understood this. So this is cost control. Trying to keep your cost within the budget. Keeping the cost within the budget. That's all. Does this happen even in our home? Yes. Yes, of course. Even simple things like home also we are having this cost control. So let's say certain amount of money is coming in our home every month. Mom, dad's amount is coming, such amount is coming. So obviously we will try to keep our cost within that much amount. Fair enough. If every month we have got a certain budget even in our home, so we keep that also in mind. Let's say for example our budget is 30,000 rupees we'll be spending. So in that we have got all the things like maybe school related, college related, whatever fees are there, food is there, other expenses are there, EMIs are there, whatever it may be. So all this is there. And then one fine day we find out, array, month end may not 30, we spent 35,000. Just giving an example. So why then 35,000? Obviously, then mom, dad will bother. Array, what happened? Why extra money has gone? Why it has gone? And then obviously next month they come to know, oh, you have spent the money. Huh? Our child is troubling a lot of money is spending here and there. Immediately action. No pocket money next 2 months. Right? So that's exactly what. This is what happens everywhere. So even in businesses, same thing, cost control. So this is what we have, right? Now coming to the next one. What is the next one? Cost reduction. And then the difference between the two. So cost reduction now. What did we just say? I had already explained this to you. Cost reduction means you are trying to achieve a real and permanent reduction. You're trying to achieve a real and permanent reduction. In what? In the cost of the goods manufactured or services rendered. So you are trying to get it down. You are challenging the status quo. Status quo means so many times, so many months we were saying, yes, our cost is 10 rupees for making that pen. But now you are challenging that. You're saying, no, we should try to get it below 10 rupees without compromising on the quality. That's very important. So we are trying to reduce the cost, right, without impairing the suitability. It should not affect the suitability. Impairing the suitability means reducing the suitability or hampering the suitability for its use, or diminution. Diminution means decrease in the quality of the product. So I'm simply saying I want to reduce it without affecting its use or quality. So how will I reduce it? It will not happen overnight. It will take time. Okay. So this is what we have, and this is what we call cost reduction. So now what would be some examples of cost reduction? Let's take a few practical examples to understand this concept better. So best practical example. Now, let's say these fast food joints which are there, whether you have say Domino's Pizza or you have McDonald's or all these kind of things or these kind of places. Have you observed the service over there? Do they have amazing service over there? Yes? Hardly anything. There is no service. You have to do self service there. You have to stand in a line, take the bill over there. Then you have to go take the food items over there, sit on the table yourself, only you have to eat it, right? In fact, even they don't give proper plates as such. Everything is in the same boxes that you have, the boxes or whatever. They give you these disposable things. So all that you're using, right? So this is not a kind of service. See, there on the other hand, you will go to a fancy, fine dine restaurant. So there you will have proper service. So understand this. What I'm trying to tell you here is that when McD or Domino's or all these, places, they felt that, we are a fast food joint. We need to do things faster. We don't want to spend money on this. We want to give it cheaper to the customers. So then in that case, what they did, they just got rid of these non-value added activities. So according to them, Most of the crowd which comes there is little younger crowd, and they don't mind standing in queue, taking the things, serving themselves, and nothing. It's okay. They don't have a problem eating on from boxes. It's okay. It's fine. So considering that, what they did was, initially maybe when they started, they also thought that these things we should give. But then over time they realized that this is non-value added activity. Nothing. It does not matter. My sales are not getting affected. So immediately they got that thing down. Then something like pizzas or these fast food. Then we have got delivery. They started, right? So delivery was something which was not so common at that time when these came in India. So McDonald's or Domino's, they have got these entire delivery set up. So they have got all the vehicles, their bikes and all. They're delivering goods everywhere. So they found that in our business this is more important. People coming in and eating, we don't really like to go to a place like that. We like to go to a fine dine. But if you want to eat pizza, we might as well order in and we will have it at home. So then they understood that this is where we need to spend. So, it depends on the scenario. Then in the time of COVID, what happened? Very interesting. During COVID, when everyone was working from home, big IT companies realized one very big thing. They're like, why are we having such big fancy places of offices? We don't need it. We are still able to generate revenue. We are still able to get our workers, they're working. Only salaries we are paying them. All the overheads, the rent, and all the staff welfare and all that, we don't need to incur that much. Still, they were doing good in business. So they realized that. And you will not believe, even after now, COVID is over, still you are having so many IT companies, especially mid-sized ones, who are still saying we don't want. You sit at home and you work at home. We have so many CAs who are still working from home. IT people are working from home even now. In fact, now they started a little bit, okay, 2 days come to office, 3 days come to office, because they realized they could reduce the cost. That is a different story. They never imagined this. COVID had forced a lot of things on them, but still it happened. It worked. And they realized something. So it gave us them a cost reduction, which was not planned, but it happened. So this is what, things happen. Then another cost reduction we can have example is for our manufacturing. Robos were got into manufacturing. So robotic manufacturing also has picked up now. Pretty much. So you have that because they realize that we can reduce the cost. Manual intervention is not needed. So we can do it. So then that came into picture. Or when they see so many workers are there, we don't need, they can reduce the staff. Such big companies also doing laying off of employees. What is all that? Cost reduction. So they are trying to achieve and they are still not affecting the business. Business is still going on. Their services are there. Their goods are there. Everything is there, but they have reduction in cost. Rather, they have achieved the reduction in cost. So I hope this concept is clear now. Okay. So cost reduction, it's a saving. There are 3 assumptions on which this is done. Okay. What are the 3 assumptions based on which this happens? There's a saving. Yes, you will save the cost. This saving is permanent in nature. And most important, the use and the quality of the goods or services remain unaffected. If not better, at least it is the same. So this is what you get with cost reduction. Okay, the assumption is, yes, we have a cost. We can reduce that cost. This savings could be permanent in nature. And lastly, nothing is affected. Your quality or your utility is not affected. So I hope this is clear. So to do cost reduction, we have got 2 major things. The following actions are taken. 1, we divide our activities into value-added activities or non-value-added. So every activity we see, whether it adds value or nothing much changes because of that, then all the non-value-added activities we try to eliminate. So what happened with Amazon? What happened? Why many sellers started selling online? Because they got rid of that chain in between. Okay, so wholesaler, we had got distributor or distribution chain, then going to the retailer, then retailer is selling the goods. Why? Manufacturers sell directly. So they eliminated this whole chain. They found this is not adding any value. Maybe. And that's why some products we start getting at a cheaper rate online. So it depends. This value chain analysis happens on a continuous basis. Okay, this is just a concept which is introduced in your detail. You have this in CA final. Okay, so value chain analysis means you're trying to see what gets value or what does not add value, and accordingly you change it. Okay, so this is what you have over here. I hope this is clear. Even in fact, banks, so many things banks were earlier doing which were offline, right? But now everything we are doing online, so many things we have to, because they feel it is lesser in cost and it is giving you the good service anyways. So right from any online, you're generating things, you're transferring funds, right? Checkbooks and all. Why we need it? So many offices have become paperless. Why paperless they became? Again, cost reduction. Because we don't need to waste so much of paper, print and all that. Everything can be online. So that's again a cost reduction. Okay. So one, you can do cost reduction by finding out the activities which don't add value. And second, you can do continuous research to do to find out things in a better way, how you can do it in a lesser costly way and all that you can still manage. I hope this is clear. Hmm? And just two small concepts now and then we are done for the day. First, we'll just see the difference between cost control and cost reduction. And then one or two things I want to explain about value, price and cost, the difference between that. Okay, so we have to write down. That's not in your notes. That's something additional which I'll be giving you. Okay, and that is important also. So come on. Institute doesn't give it, but it has been a concept which has been coming all the way. So I want to add it here. Anyways, so the distinguish between mark this star mark, very, very important. So when I say 2 stars, 3 stars means it is important. And when I say 5 stars means it is very, very important. Okay. So come on. The difference between these two. Between what? Cost control and cost reduction. Little bit, I'm sure you understood this. So when we say cost control, means you're trying to keep the cost within the standard which you have decided. And cost reduction means when you're challenging that standard only. Ki baba, why 10 rupees? I can get it down. That is what you're trying to do. Okay. So cost control means you're maintaining the cost. Maintaining the cost in accordance with the standard. So you're trying to keep it within the standard cost. Okay. Here you want to reduce the cost. And you challenging the standards. Yes, I can get it down. I can get it down. Better I can make the things at a lower rate. So you're trying to get the lowest possible cost. Here, you say that no condition is permanent. You can always make changes and you will always try to reduce your cost in some form or the other. When I do cost control, I'm thinking of the past and the present. In the past, I have made this pen at 10 rupees. So I will try to make it at 10 rupees even now. But when I talk about cost reduction, I'm saying, I want to get it to 9 rupees. I want to work on that. So we are talking about the present and the future. So if you think of the two, which is better off, of course, cost reduction is a long-term perspective, right? This is a preventive function. It is tries to prevent you from making losses or, try to keep your cost within control. But this is a corrective function. Here, you are trying to improve things. Here it ends. When it ends, when your target is achieved. Yeah, 10 rupees was my target. I achieved in 9.9. Amazing. Great. Wow. Finished. Cost control over. But here it is no end to this. It is a continuous process. You are trying to improve on a continuous basis. So these are the differences which are there. You can write one or two more differences. 6th point you can write here. This is a less dynamic thing. You're not doing much over here. It's a very mechanical thing. Less dynamic. This is more dynamic approach. More dynamic. 7th, one more point you can add here. In your cost control, tools used are standard costing and budgetary control. So here mainly you are using standard costing. This is the standard, this is the actual, comparing, seeing the variance and analyzing it. But here in cost reduction, you are observing things like how material can I get, substitute labor, what I can do, how can I give them more incentive. I give them more incentive, but I take more work from them. So cost comes down. Okay. So this is what. So here it is like you use value engineering, trying to find out what are value added activities, which are non value added activities. You're working on that. You try to get standardization in the product. Standardization. Simplification. Market research. Or work study. Ki what things or what processes can be eliminated, etc. These are the tools which are used. Work study, etc. So these are the basic difference between cost control and cost reduction. 2 to 3 stars. Very, very favorite exam question. Okay. So I hope this is clear now. And that's it for today then. Just two more small things I want to tell you now, which you can just write down. Coming to just a simple example. Ki why is it that in costing, in financial and cost management, what a difference happens? Why did we need cost accounting? Why we just couldn't do with financial accounts? Understand that. Just giving you an example. So first of all, what is this example about? This is, let's say there are 3 products in a company which they are selling. Normal 3 products being sold by a company. Let's take the sales. Just an example. You write down and I'll explain it later on. So sales are 2,50,000, 1,50,000, 1 lakh. So total we have 4 lakh sales. Sorry, 5 lakh. Then the cost of the product. Cost of the product we have 2,60,000, 1 lakh and 40,000. So we have a cost of 4 lakh. So what is the profit coming? Here we have a 10,000 loss. Here we have 50,000 profit. And here 60,000 profit. Yeah. So actually, my financial accounting gave me only this. Financial accounting will give you this part. Financial accounting will say, oh wow, you are making a 1 lakh profit, right? Financial accounting will say. It will not give you product wise data. It will just give you this much. So if you will see the profit percentage as per financial accounting, you are getting a profit percentage of 1 lakh divided by 5 lakh, you are getting 20%, which is a good one. That's not a problem. But when my costing came in picture, costing said, no, I will give you product wise data. So this product wise data, who is giving me? Costing. And product wise, when data was given by costing, what we saw कि भाई product A is तो making a loss. So if product A is making a loss, obviously you should discontinue that product, right? So here if you will see, this is a 4% loss. This is a 33.33% profit, and this is a 60% profit. So you'll understand that ki bhai, when you're making production, go for C first. More of C if you can sell, because percentage wise you're getting higher profit there, right? Or you will see that yes, B and C you make, and A you will say discontinue. Why you're doing this? And this you will say try to increase the sales, because you're having highest profit as highest profit margin. Are you getting it? So this all data, this analysis, my costing gives. That's why we say that, cost accounting is necessary. So this is how the example is, just for you to understand. And last concept for the day is the difference between what? Cost, price and value. The difference between cost, price and value. First we start with the meaning. Cost, price and value. Many times we think it is the same thing. No, it is not. There is a difference between all the three. So first of all, cost, we learned it is the uh, amount of resource given up for a product or a service, right? It is the expenditure incurred for a product or service. So write down, what is cost? Expenditure incurred for producing a product or rendering a service. Simple. What is price? It is the amount paid by consumer in exchange of a product or a service. In exchange of a product or a service. Value, this is relative worth of a commodity to an individual at a particular point of time. So what does this mean? See the three things, okay? So cost is what is seen from the producer's point of view, okay? So write down the two point of view, then I'll explain it together. Second one, it is from whose point of view? It is from, this one is from the producer's point of view. Producer's point of view. Price is from a customer's point of view. A consumer's point of view. And this is from an end user's point of view. User's point of view. Okay. Now what is this? Let us explain. Now let's say you have you are going on some trek, okay, and this trek you are walking like really high, like let's say some hill or mountain, and you are extremely tired by the time you reach up. You're like really, really tired. Okay. And at that time, what happens is you need water. Badly, you want water. And that time, you see that there is one person who's selling water and sitting on the top over there. So it's a normal Bisleri bottle which costs normally 20 rupees. But that person that time says, I will take 80 rupees. So now what happens is the price that you're paying for that is 80 rupees. You obviously say, are 80 rupees and all. But at that time, are you even bothered about 80 rupees? No, you badly need that water, right? So you just take it, and at that time, the value of that water for you is like 8,000 rupees. It doesn't matter. Okay. So that's what I say. Value is completely from the user's point of view. So it does not matter. And when I say price and value, how it works, when you're paying something, okay, price, and you're getting more value for it, then you buy that product. Otherwise, many times you say, it is overpriced, I don't want to buy it. Because the value is something which you place on it. And if you find it worth, you will buy it. Okay. So you want to say buy a dress. And you go and you see a lot of say 4 or 5 dresses. Then you like 2 of them. One is 3,000, one is 5,000. You have the budget of 5,000, but you don't find it worth 5,000. It's not that you can't pay the price, but you don't find it worth. So the value of it does, you don't see looks like 5,000 is. Then let it be, I'll settle for 3,001 only. What is that? It is a value placed at that particular point of time. Okay. And many times what happens now, people take advantage of that. Now that person sitting on the hill, he's saying, obviously I'll take more money because I'm sitting there, and he knows he can take advantage. So he is doing that. He's charging a price for that. Premium he's charging, possible, and people give it also. We know it. So it depends on the situation that is there. Okay. Now when you see Dasera, okay, Dasera, when we are putting the flowers, on all like our vehicles, car, in our house. So that day the rate of the flowers goes up to such a big extent. It is like 2-3 times the rate, and people buy it. They know they're going to buy it because that day the value is there on that. Na? So it depends. The price, they take advantage of the value situation. Otherwise, normally nobody will take those flowers all the time. So this is how people take advantage. So value is basically that. Now let's say there is a person who is a pure vegetarian person, and you go to him and tell, "Arey, that Licious is giving free chicken." So cost Licious is there, price you're ready to pay, and that person is like, you're getting it free, but he has zero value for it because he's a pure vegetarian. It doesn't matter to him. You see? So value depends on the individual. Okay. And price depends on the product. Like this is the product or this is the price. And cost depends on the producer. Like what is his cost. So this is how we normally talk. Next point I have, that is cost. This is something which is objectively determined. Objectively determined means we have certain rules. So we calculate the cost in a similar way. Not that you will have different price cost, I will have different cost calculation, I'm saying. Okay. So if we have a pen, you are calculating the cost, I'm calculating the cost. We both are using our cost accounting principles and calculating it in the same way. It is objectively determined. But price could be differentiation. There could be differentiation in the pricing. Possible. Like for example, it could be consumer wise, or it could even be time wise. According to the time also, you can have different possible rates, prices. Best example, consumer wise, electricity bill. In consumer wise, electricity bill, tell me, this electricity bill which is there, it is different for industrial, the unit rate is different, for residential it is different, for commercial it is different. So electricity bill, consumer wise, they differentiate prices, yes. And time wise, you see movie theaters. In theaters, morning rates of tickets are less or evening rates are higher. So that clearly shows the price differentiation. This is what we have. And value is purely subjective. It depends on the person. Subjective. Depends on person or time. Like I said, a pure veg person, value of non-veg is 0 for him, right? It doesn't matter. Normally water, I will not pay 80 rupees for that mineral water. But when I'm there at that time, I'm okay, I'm ready to pay. Okay. So when you go to these hill stations and all, we pay extra premium for, when we go into some different beautiful spot, and there we just pay because that is the value at that point of time. We are okay with it. Okay. And last and the final point, the fourth and the last, this is the third point, and the fourth point is cost is a fact. This is the cost of the product. It is a fact. Okay. This pricing is a policy. How much of price you are ready to pay. Your policy depends on your cost. It can depend on the market. It depends on the competitors also. Policy and value is purely an opinion. It is an opinion according to me. So this is the difference between cost, price and value. So I hope you understood this. So today we have only discussed the very basics of our cost accounting, and this we have understood how the history of costing has happened. Saw the difference between cost control and cost reduction, and very important, cost, price and value. So these are the things we have learned for today, and that's it for today. See you tomorrow, and just revise whatever we have learned, and like I always say, keep smiling, be happy.